Again, this is the summary of Three Worlds, Plan of Redemption, Barbour and Russell, summarizing, and interestingly, the subject is chronology, yet again, and how all of the supports of the chronology, all the independent supports for the dates 1798, 1799, 1829, 1844, 1874, 1878, all of them support each other, and therefore it must be a divine system. Of course, the only thing left of these supports now is the one date, 1914. But the argument here is not that every single part is therefore infallibly fixed, but rather that they all support each other. That seems to be the faith that Barbour and Russell are advocating, that Christendom is blind to and deaf to. Here he concludes the argument. Turn to the chart, that is the chronological chart further back in the book, and run your eye over the three worlds. The one before the flood, this present evil world, and the world to come. Then at the different ages, everyone knows that what little there was of a church or people of God was represented by one man during the days of the patriarchs, and afterwards by the 12 tribes, and then by the gospel church, and that there is a millennial age of glory promised when the kingdom is the Lord's, in which all the ends of the earth shall remember and turn to the Lord. Can you not see that thus spread out as a map before you, the mind easily grasps the subject in all the various phases of the great plan? Write the vision and make it plain on tables, that he may run that readeth it. Does indeed bring it down to our easy comprehension. Simply looking at our own immediate surroundings and not comparing Scripture with Scripture has made us narrow-minded. But the more enlarged our views, the more is the boundless love of God made to appear. How is it so much harmony is found in these various arguments if they are not true? No one can deny that, taking it for granted that this chronology is true, the fact that from the time the Sabbatic system began on entering the land of Canaan to the year 1875, being just the measure of the Sabbatic system, whether reckoned as a Jubilee of Jubilees, 50 times 50, from where the last typical Jubilee ended, or 70 cycles as they have actually transpired, 19 with a Jubilee, making a total of 950 years, and 51 without a Jubilee year attached, or 51 times 49, making a total of 2,499 years, should in either case terminate in 1875. Is some evidence that the restitution to which they point is not far in the future. All of this, of course, is now scrapped. And again, the fact that there is what appears to be clear Bible evidence that the dispensation represented by the 12 tribes of Israel and the dispensation of the gospel, or 12 apostles, were to be equal. That is, that they would be equal in length, an assumption that Barbour and Russell seem to have taken for granted. These dispensations are now equal just when the Jubilee cycles run out, just when the day of the Lord is due. It's certainly a strange coincidence, which, coming as it does directly from the Bible, is worthy of more than a mere passing thought. And again, all men can see that we are entering strange and unusual times. This is, of course, written in 1877. That there is a foreboding of trouble. The Bible distinctly teaches that this age is to end with distress of nations, men's hearts failing them with fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. A universal time of trouble, the falling of the thrones, etc. The number 40, which is a very prominent period as connected with the flood, second with the wilderness, Mount Sinai and Moses, and third with Elijah, with Christ, and with the destruction of Jerusalem, from the beginning of Christ's work, or from AD 30 to AD 70, is again made to appear just at this point. And of course, that's a reference to the period from 1874 to 1914, the anticipated end of all these things, and the Great Tribulation. The 7 prophetic times of the Gentiles, or 2,520 years, is a long period, and without doubt began where God's kingdom in the line of David ended, at the beginning of the 70 years captivity, BC 606. Yes, they'd made a mistake, so that the year 1 BC to 1 AD was thought of as 2 years, not 1. And as from where the harvest of the Jewish age began to AD 70 was 40 years, so this 2,520 years of the times of the Gentiles reach from BC 606 to AD 1914, or 40 years beyond 1874. And the time of trouble, conquest of the nations, and events connected with the day of wrath have only ample time during the balance of this 40 years for their fulfillment. So it's very clear that they viewed 1914 as the deadline. God couldn't proceed with his earthly plan, that is to return to Israel and Jerusalem, until the Gentile times were fulfilled and the church was in heaven, the bride of Christ. Only thing left for now our consideration is a special appendix on chronology, which we'll get to next time. I'm putting in a link to another house of cards that has come crashing down. When you look at the context of Daniel 11 and 12, you realize the Great Tribulation, which is mentioned very, very clearly there, the standing up of Michael, the resurrection. All of these things are tied to very specific geographical details. So another house of cards falls down. This house is built of chronology and chronological assumptions, but even the modern interpretation by the witnesses of the last chapters of Daniel is another house of cards, this time destroyed by a consideration of geography. So I'll put the link into that discussion of Daniel 11 and 12.